Greetings and salutations to everybody in La La Land, wherever that is. Listen, my name's Chris Hawk and I want to tell you something. But before I tell you what it is I want to tell you, I want to put out a short disclaimer. Sometimes I cuss. I don't mean to, but sometimes it's been known, at least rumored, an occasional cuss word will come out of my mouth. If I offend anybody up front, I want to apologize. And if you want to go get some Kleenexes to blow your nose and wipe your tears and all that stuff, you're gladly welcome to do so. In the meantime, I got a video to get to, so fuck off. Now listen. 2 weeks ago, I was dying. I didn't have a date put on the side of my foot. I didn't have a tombstone etched with my name on it, but all the same, I was dying. I was diagnosed type 2 diabetic. Stop fucking laughing. It is a very serious problem. And I'll tell you why. My dad had type 2 diabetes and he ended up developing pancreatic cancer and now he's not here anymore. So fuck you. My sister Cindy, she had type 2 diabetes. She had the fat surgery, so now she doesn't have it no more. That's not an option for me because, frankly, as you'll find out in a minute, I've had enough surgeries in my life. All the aunts on my dad's side, they are diabetic. And I have a couple aunts on my mother's side that was diabetic. So when the diabetic god decided to give me the diabetic baton and run with it, I threw it back in his face and said, fuck you, I ain't doing it. That's 2 weeks ago. I'll come back to this in a moment. 10 years ago, my life started to go to hell. Basically, the very first thing that happened is I developed some very severe stomach pains. Didn't know what they were, suffered with them for 2 years. Finally, I went into the doctor and said, hey, something's up, can you fix it? And I was diagnosed with having a bad gallbladder. And they ended up taking it out in a surgery. And I remember specifically being wheeled down the hallway post-surgery because the doctor was walking next to me. And I remember she looked down and said, how long did you say that you were having these pains? And I told her 2 years. And right there on the spot, as we're being wheeled to the recovery room, she calls me a dumbass. Because I guess my gallbladder was so diseased, she had to grind it up to get it out of me. That if anything in my life hurt like that again, I needed to go in because I was lucky it was my gallbladder and fixable. What if it was something else that wasn't fixable because I waited too long? That would be a wake-up call to most people. Not this guy. Oh no. You know what happens next? A couple years later, I get pneumonia. Happens to lots of people. To me, I got the good one. I got a bacterial pneumonia that put me in ICU for like a week and a half. Usually they give you antibiotics, tell you to go home, put your feet up and don't do anything. They gave me my own hospital room and a big ass bill at the end of the stay, but be that as it may, I got to stay in the hospital. Consequently, from that, after I got out, I found out about a month later I started getting short of breath. I didn't know why. It didn't hurt, nothing hurt. It's just walking up the stairs seemed a little harder than what it was before. I kind of put that off as well. I had pneumonia, so my lungs were trying to recuperate. That was sidetracked because I started developing this very severe pain in my leg. I can't describe it. I can describe it, and the best way I can describe it is, you ever had one of those hangnails on the side of your finger? Like when you're a kid, when you're always biting your fingers and it got infected? And it got infected so much that anytime you put your hand to your side, every time your heart beat, you could feel it just throb. If you've had that, imagine that in your leg about 1,000 times worse. It was miserable. Did I go to the doctor to do anything about it? Nope. I assumed I probably pulled a muscle or did some stupid thing that it would get better and just kept driving on. Then one day, I don't really remember this because I was out of it, but I guess I had woken up in the morning and I couldn't move and I couldn't breathe. I was breathing like very shallowly. It was like it was described to me as like a I couldn't get any more air in. And so they called an ambulance and they rushed me to the hospital. This time I earned a 3-week stay in the critical care unit because what I had in my leg was a blood clot. The blood clot broke off and went into my lung, called a pulmonary embolism, and I guess I almost died. They put me on blood thinners. I was on blood thinners for like a year, and finally got done with that stuff. And first, let me backtrack a little bit. In the interim, come to find out, I was diagnosed with an anti-immune disorder called lupus anticoagulant. Basically, lupus anticoagulant is it's not associated with the other lupus of the liver. It's kind of a misnomer. It's its own thing. Basically, what it is there's something in my blood that my body doesn't like, so it sends antibodies to fight my own blood, and so it's more prone to clotting than normal. Again, I'm not on permanent blood thinners. Thank God, knock on wood, it doesn't happen again. But be that as it may, I would assume would probably be a pretty big wake-up call, wouldn't you think? You would think so, but you are speaking to me. Did nothing for my health. I didn't realize at this time that my body's sending me signals saying, dumbass, hey, pay attention. We're not happy with you. Because, like I said, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Now, I didn't really give too much thought to living or dying. You know, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. But if it happened, if your time's up, your time's up. I wasn't worrying about it. You know, I was going to live my life. I was going to try to live as long as I could. But if my time's up, my time's up. You know, once you're dead, you ain't worrying about it anyway. You're like, okay, that was fun. What's next? So I have a little ace up my sleeve who kind of changed my perception of that a little bit. I got here. This is my son. Ain't he cute? His name's Kai. Kyson. Kai for short. Oops, let me get back to focus. I wouldn't really care if I died all that much, except for now I have a responsibility to the most beautiful person that I've ever met in my entire life, my son. I mean, I would, everything I do for this kid. And I'm not going to let him down. I didn't care about myself enough to take care of myself, to listen to my body and say, hey, you need to do something. I'm not even 40 yet. I'm almost 40, but I'm not 40 yet. And I've had, gosh, I don't know, 10 surgeries in my life. Everything from knees getting worked on to my tubes in my ears when I was a little kid every summer for like 5 or 6 years, to gallbladders, to them going in and pumping fluid out of my lungs, to just everything. And I didn't care. It's stupid. You need to care. And he's going to make sure that I am going to do what I need to do to get myself right, good, and healthy. And he deserves that much. So I implore everybody to come back and watch these videos. Watch what I do, because I'm going to take myself to places that I never thought possible. I'm going to show you everything that I do, how I do it, when I do it, and I'm going to do my best to paint a blueprint for everybody. You're more than welcome to come along for the ride if you want, or you can just sit back and be amazed, whatever you want to do. I don't really care. But basically that's me in a nutshell. This is my introductory video. I am pretty much running out of time, so I'm going to sign off now, but stay tuned because there's plenty more coming.